Zoning out through the county and through all of the advertisements necessary and whatever else processes need to be done. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Duran?
Yes.
Mr. Roses?
I'm going to abstain from that vote.
Thank you, sir. My vote is yes. Motion carries. Okay. Next item, old business, is the need of repairs for the Maple Grove Bridge. I'm sure you have anything on that.
So, okay. 21st April, the bridge work is to begin for Maple Grove Road Bridge, with a possible tentative end date of June of this year, give or take. So the county is moving forward with Maple Grove. Oh, I'm talking about
That's fine. Wrong bridge, right?
Long Bridge.
I made that mistake before. Okay, Maple Grove Bridge, do you have anything on that?
No, there's nothing on
Not
that.
yet, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's all right, skip over. Okay, we'll just leave that as no update, and come back to it next month, maybe we can find something on it. Or do you want to find something on it? Maple Grove Bridge. The guardrail issues, the engineering, and all that stuff, so we got gentlemen done on it. Okay, now, here you have some kind of report on Valley View Bridge.
Valley View. So April 21st, work is to begin on that bridge, and they hope to have it finished by June of this year. So that bridge will be hopefully taken care of here.
What's the start date?
21st of April.
Missed that bridge. And the school bus does too. Bad way around. Okay, that's everything we had under old business. Under new business, first item of discussion was the hours that we had set for roadmaster, which back in January, February meetings, we had appointed the 3 supervisors at roadmaster, and we put a limit of 20 hours to that, which kind of caused a little situation just recently because we, about 10 days after, roughly 10 days after, we reduced the road crew back to 2 full-time employees. One of the other 2 employees resigned, which left us with one gentleman on the road. So Mr. Duran has come down and has been working, I don't know how many, 60 hours a week, but he's only getting paid as 20 hours as a roadmaster. So in the event, in the future, like we're about to hire one person at some point here in the future, but we don't have anybody just yet. So in the event of the future, we have the same problem come up. This happens in the dead of winter, we got a problem. So I'm going to make a motion to lift the 20-hour limit we put to the supervisors working as roadmaster, and just list it as whatever would happen to be necessary to get through the situation. Because in the event we have, whatever reason, we have 2 people quit, should never happen, but you don't know. If you only work 20 hours a week, everybody grab your shovel. Because that's just not going to work. So my motion is to remove the 20-hour limit and list it as whatever is necessary. And does the gentleman have any discussion in your direction on that?
I'm sure you're not going to agree with my discussion, but I certainly don't think that's a wise thing to do. We discussed it when we set the 20-hour limit, that it not become a full-time position. I think part of the reason why we're in bind is because this board let go of one of the road workers. And I think it's because of this board that the other road worker quit. So I certainly can't support making a full-time position as roadmaster out of a member of our board. I feel like it's voting yourself a job. I understand where you have your concerns about having enough people to work, but for that reason, I can't support it.
Well, no one's looking to make it a full-time job. It's just
Lifting the hours limit basically is turning it into a full-time job in my mind. So,
well,
that's how I see it.
I believe full-time job would come with full-time benefits, which,
Okay, full-time hours. I don't believe it should be a 40-hour position.
well, if you'd like to come down and go clock them.
I'm not the one on the board that let go of a road crew member, and I think the other road crew member quit, not because of me, if you would speak to him. So no, I'm not going to volunteer for that.
I would
Absolutely not.
I'd like to remind you that public, we do not discuss personal issues at public meetings, and that is an accusation you make, of course, could technically start into the slander area.
Well,
So,
I'm certainly not going to come and do that then, because I believe it's this board's actions that caused the position we're in.
Everyone can have their own opinion.
Yep.
We
I'm
all have
just
to share the same facts.
I'm just stating before I vote why.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Any input, Mr. Henry? No. Okay. All right, I move to lift the limit of the 20-hour to whatever is necessary for as far as roadmasters go.
well, this isn't for just for all roadmasters.
Correct.
It's just not one person. You know, this is for all roadmasters. You can come down here and work if you want.
Never stated it was for one roadmaster. I don't believe any of us should do that.
We're all roadmasters. And per the MPC, you are allowed to appoint yourself as roadmasters to carry out the duties that are required for the township.
Mr. Duran, did I say that we could not do this? I understand it's legal and ethical. I don't believe it's right.
All right, one more try. I move to lift the 20-hour limit and word it as supervisors are capable of doing the roadmaster position with whatever is necessary to operate the township. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Duran?
Yes.
Mr. Brosens?
No.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Okay, the next item, after I make a small statement, anybody has any input from the audience, we're more than welcome to take it, because it's kind of unknown to you what we're actually talking about. And that is that next week, Ms. Rummel's going on vacation, and there's nobody here to pick up the phone or handle anything else that would be taking place in the interim while we don't have another person in the office. So, any suggestions from either you or the audience? I'm more than happy to take.
Hire a temporary for a week. I see no problem with that.
What were you going to answer?
I don't, no problem. See no problem with that. Somebody can go on vacation.
Anybody else?
Sandra Yurich, I suggest that it be from a temporary hiring agency that has qualifications for the job.
Anybody else? Mr. Rose, any input?
I would be good with the town farmer. as long as it's for the duration of vacation, it may short.
Yes, that's just,
I'm fine with that.
Mr. Durant? Go ahead. Okay, somebody want to make a motion on it?
I make a motion to appoint a temporary service in the event that Ms. Rummel goes on vacation to fill her position for the township and her duties as such.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to tomorrow, I guess, attempt to hire a temp service for next week and get something set up, and then whenever else who on vacation comes through, they'll do the same process. It's good. Fun story. So. Make the call on Friday. You can make a call with temp service. I won't as well. You're up. Whoever wants to make the call with temp service. Okay, anyway, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. It's been moved and seconded to hire a temp service to fill in when Ms. Rummel is on vacation. Roll call vote, Mr. Durant.
Yes.
Mr. Rosas.
Yes.
My vote is yes, motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is the bid opening for road materials. You know, piece it up. Did you find anything there about the motions?
I could see go ahead and you want to do a motion to, for some, to PM at Mayor Press, okay? If I find something, otherwise I'll let you know, but.
I'll make a motion for processing.
Yeah. That's right. Just ring it out.
Her union and then to the place.
You guys want to read them, or is this one like to read it?
Anybody read it, of course.
Okay. Sure. All right, first one is from Russell Standard Corporation. Okay, so they, on your sheets there, they came in for the 10,000 gallons of CRS2 emulsified. Came in at $2.12. 2.125. 2.125. Also read it like that. Okay. And the above items to be applied as per instructions, so that would total $21,250. $400 ton of super paved asphalt.
This also Russell?
Yes, this is all Russell this time. 9.5 millimeter mixture design, which is going to unit price of $120.00. Total is $48,000. Yeah, it's the 9.5. It's paved. Your 19 millimeter super paved asphalt, unit price of $118.00. Your 19 millimeter super paved asphalt at $118.00 came in at $23,600. Richard Ball. bid.
They didn't bid the rest, you said?
I know, there wasn't money for that. Okay, this is from Washington Asphalt. So Hanson Heidelberg Cement Group. That's the last one. Okay. 200 tons and number 8s. So that's going to be unit price for the plant is $20. Totals. This real Oh, okay, we won't pick up. Okay, so if we pick it up from them, it's $20 per unit price, totaling of $4,000. This is number 8.
What was their address? Yeah.
Okay, now if they deliver, it's $35.96 unit price. And that is, totals to be $7,192. Yes, 7,192. All right, your number 67, road aggregate. If we pick it up, it is $13 per unit. Yeah, coming a total of $2,600. And if they deliver, it is $27.96 per unit, totaling $5,592. Super pave, 9.5 mils. Comes in at $61 a unit, totaling $24,400. Your 19 millimeter super pave is $54 unit price, totaling $10,800. That's just their ball. So far, that's all from Hanson right there. We're going to the next bid, Lafarge. So your 1B, which is down at the bottom down there, 300 tons of 1B air-cooled blast. All right, so unit price, if we pick it up, the plant is $21 a unit, which is a ton, $21 a ton, and total of $6,200. And if They deliver at $30.20 at $9,060. That's it. All of it on. This is from Suco Corporation, Washington. CRS2 emulsified asphalt, 10,000 gallons. Suco came in at unit price delivered $1.871 per unit, totaling $18,710. That is it from Suco. What time is Russell stand? Mars.
How about, the far,
Ohio. Streetsboro, Ohio.
Can you read the addresses to you guys? If you guys want to research, you guys want to so pick up.
Yeah, the pickup could be a big difference if we're going,
So Suco's paper. Okay. Yeah, Russell's in
we got the road.
Okay. Kansas City, Collinsville, PA. Collinsville.
Yeah, just told you very nice too.
This is Midland Asphalt Materials Incorporated. They are out of Bloomsburg, PA. $10,000 gallons of CRS2 emulsified asphalt comes in at $2.29 per unit. And total is $22,900. That's it. Reynolds Rock Incorporated, Burgerstown, Pennsylvania. Same thing. Okay, yeah, there's our. All right, so let's go over to number 8, road aggregate, 200 ton. Number 8, okay, so $23 pickup ton, and it totals $4,600. Delivered. $30.25, totaling $6,050. Okay, delivered. 200 tons. And let's go to number 67, roads, road aggregate, 200 tons. So pickup is $14.50 per ton, and total is $2,900. Delivery is 23.27, totaling $4,654. I say $4,654.
Yes, you did.
That's it. We have a bid from everyone on the list there. Let's see. All right, so number 67, that's your larger stone. So if you're gonna go with just a hardship, that's your number 8s. So you would put down your multiplication and your 8s. If you're gonna do, let's say, a seal coat, you would come in, you would do 67s with your larger stone, tar over top of that. And then you would then either tar first and number 67s, tar again, and then number 8s. And
I would, we don't have to make a decision today.
no, we can definitely table this.
I would like to make a motion to table so we take time to run this out the calculator. Come back next month. Everybody can bring their idea and make a motion to go down. Sorry, you guys. You ready for you? Fine. All right, I move to table the decision on the road materials. We can actually take the time to get a calculator and doing that. Everybody sit here for an hour. Everybody go in your own time. Come back.
That's fine.
Go with that. So we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to table the decision on the bids we received this evening. Mr. Graham, roll call vote.
Yes.
Mr. Roses?
Yes.
My vote is yes, motion to table. Okay, there's a new item that's going to be up on the board, but I'm not writing on the board because my handwriting is bad. That motion is to, I'll make the motion, you guys can have any discussion before anybody seconds it. I move to temporarily appoint Chief Dorsey officially as a zoning officer until we make some form of change in the future.
I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Mr. Dorsey, or Chief Dorsey, as our zoning officer temporarily, that we come up with something else. Roll call vote, Mr. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Roses?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Okay, before we get to public comment, just want to make a statement. Earlier this week, Mr. Durand went to PSATs as our voting delegate, and I went along to meet people, integrate, learn stuff, so I went no charge to the township. Only his expenses are what you have to absorb. He had roughly 34, 35 votes that you voted on, or something like that. It's about 35, I believe. While out there, I'll let you give your speech in a second. I learned some things about the Act 13. The money that the state takes in from each well is paid on a percentage between $45,000 to $50,000 per well, not well pad, but well, for up to 15 years. So every year, the state receives that amount of money that's distributed amongst the townships and counties where the actual impact is. A portion of it is given to Philadelphia and other places that don't. But in those areas, they call it legacy funding. They don't call it the Act 13 impact. So once a well goes in for 15 years, there's money that comes back. And it technically is a tax that they don't label it that way. there are people running for governor at this point that may say they want to tax the gas industry. Well, if this does become converted someday to a tax, this actual impact fee goes away. The reality, because there's always a reality to everything, is that people of our township is going to see 12 cents under however much money, because what does Harrisburg do when they get a tax? Keep it, spend it wherever they want. So that's where the future is. That's one of the things that I've learned. But met a lot of our local people, there's 4,000 or so supervisors at this meeting. I met the lieutenant governor, talked to him for a few minutes. Very, very good event. And, I want to thank Mr. Grant for going and voting, representing the people, and going to your side, or whatever you voted on, what it is.
So I went to a lot of conferences, through the military, through different medical associations, and by far PSAS has been the most impressive that I've ever attended. It was 4,000 supervisors in one area at one time was quite impressive. A lot of ideas are exchanged, a lot of classes to educate supervisors, to help them through issues as bonding, working with co-stars, which is a big process for the state, how to piggyback co-stars with state contracts, how to save township's money. It was a good learning experience that I believe will be able to bring that knowledge to the township now and help us further ourselves as a community. Mr. Kendall touched upon, I guess, one of the largest attended classes were relating to the gas industry. One of the largest was the Act 13 impact fee update was the most attended. A lot of the smaller communities, smaller townships for a long time, larger townships have a $4, $5, up to $10 million budget, whereas with a smaller community with budgets of less than $200,000, they're more rural, and with the impact fee, mainly where wells are usually drilled are in a rural setting. And so for once, these townships now have been able to grow by equipment and better their communities through the drilling process. So a lot of the smaller townships have seen a large benefit from this. That was what I think from those classes there, talking to people in smaller townships and communities. On the other side of that, it was good to learn how to talk to some people at PennDOT for some possible help with some of our bridge issues that we have here. Possibly we can get the bridge on Maple Grove Road, some much needed funding that we can do to get the guardrail system going. Very good event, very impressive. I hope to attend next year. I believe it's very good. It's a much needed thing.
So they had, aside from the convention, they had workshops. Usually they were like an hour and 45 minutes long in all different slotted rooms of the hotel. Well, not hotel, convention center / hotel, it's places in New York.
It's huge.
It's probably a mile and a half from one end to the other. Biggest building I think I ever saw. It's pretty big. And but we did not go to any of the same classes, so that we could each find out different things. And we make copies of the paper later, eventually we have to print them, so we through it.
Yes, any classes I attended, I will provide to the public so they can go over the PowerPoints themselves.
There were budgeting classes and capital improvement funding classes. And there was even a class on how the gas industry repairs roads, where they go through with a big machine. It's just bigger than a garbage truck, and they actually grind up 12 to 14 inches of the road, the blacktop, the stone, the dirt, everything. Grinds it up to a powder, and they mix cement dust right in with it, and they put it back down, and they come through with a sheep's foot, tamp it in, and then rollers pack it, and you wind up with basically 10 inches of cement. And then you tar and chip over top of that, and it's no matter what weight you have now a 10-inch thick cement base that can do it. When they do, they they go wider than your normal road base because it mixes everything in, so the softer stuff to the sides gets poured in, so it eliminates the dust factor, and eliminates the sinking and pothole factor, and, but that's what the Chesapeake was the gas industry that was putting on that presentation, and that's what they do anywhere they go in to put in a well. Before, instead of going in and destroying the road and dealing with everybody angry, they went ahead of time, do this to the road, and there's no issues. I mean, it's, for a week or a couple of days while they're doing this, that might not have it's supposed to be, but in the long run, it's a week. That was just one.
That's why the roadmaster roundup, all the roadmasters from all over the town, all over the state came, and we all talked with all of the bigwigs of PennDOT on issues we're having, and they go back to PennDOT and address our issues that we're experiencing on the local level. So basically, it saves 4 to 5, maybe 6 months of running around in circles, contacting everybody. Everybody's in one spot at one time. It's really saves a lot of time and really brings you together with our communities. I think that's really a good part of it too. So.
But then there's a convention where there's 4,000 seats and speakers and so on. The governor was there for one day, and then the next day, the second 2 days, the lieutenant governor was there. They put on seminars on breakthrough no requests, different things like that.
Well, there may be possible changes coming to right now.
Yeah,
Because of large costs it's putting on small communities.
Then aside that, there's like the convention center downtown with every vendor you could ever think of, from coffee machines to Keystone Collections was there, Barkheimer, engineering firms, everything you could ever imagine you'd ever have to try to deal with. Equipment manufacturers, Walsh, Caterpillar, outside they all had plows and plow trucks.
Everything you need to run a township is
It was nice. Then in the evenings, there were just groups where people would get together, and it's amazing how many people that were so close to where we were from had no idea who they were. Beaver County, Nottingham Township, Westmoreland, a lot of good people. It was nice. Anyway, that was all.
It's the update for PSENS.
Okay, public comment, do you have anything there? You good? I'm good. Any more reports from the conference? Okay. You're good? All right. Okay, public comments. Please state your name, address first, and limit yourself to 3 minutes. And please talk slowly so I can keep up.
Okay. Hi. Stand up. Sure. Okay. My name's Cliff Rupp. I'm 1832 Becker Road. A couple questions I had. I've heard rumors for over a year now, and over close to a year, that they want to bring the gas from Allegheny County, dump gas, bring it out to our township, and attach it to that plant on Sunny Hill. Right now, I don't know if you guys know about this. I'm sure you must. They put the surveyor Morris going right beside the church, down across there, cut up and try to go into the plant. Okay. This all started back in 2008 to 2009. We had the very meetings right here in this room, okay? The supervisors, you gentlemen weren't here, the people before you weren't here either. You go back. They stayed here, we stayed here till over 10 o'clock at night. And they had a whole list of, you'll see it in minutes if you look at it, there's a list of conditions that these wells were to be drilled and what reason they got the permits, okay? They agreed to. Mr. Gallagher, the big shot lawyer for all the oil companies, agreed to it, and all his cohorts, he had three or four other lawyers there, okay? They agreed. And one of the provisions of this thing was that the wells on Sunny Hill, okay, I'm sorry, there were numerous, okay, conditions. And one of them was Mr. Gallagher told us, assured the township and the superintendents that there would be no other gas wells or gas coming into that plant. That was strictly for Sunny Hill and Sunny Hill only. And they would not bring any other gas in it. They sat right here and assured us. And that's why I'm totally against it. And because I get so stinking much noise off that plant now that it drives me crazy. I can't even sleep at night sometimes. Okay, the other thing, okay, that's one of my things. Okay, the only other thing I have, all right, I'd like to see the township get an ordinance, okay, for what they did to me. I've had nothing but bad experience with gas companies, okay? They come right next to my property, within 10 feet of my property line, cut all my tree roots on all my trees for over 400 feet. They cut them. And they shouldn't have been allowed to do that. We should have an ordinance, at least 50 to 100 feet clearance from an adjacent property, that they can't come on closer than that unless they get permission from me, of course. If anybody wants to let them go on their property, I don't care. But we should have an ordinance that they cannot do this, because it's wrong. One of my big trees fell down already, okay? The cherry tree fell down already. Not all just because of the roots, but I'm sure it had a lot to do with it. You know, I tried to get that stopped and moved when this happened before they even put the pipeline in. I just wanted to move 100 feet. They wouldn't even listen to me. You know, I brought it to the board. They wouldn't even listen. They don't do anything. I'll tell you what, they tell you to their face that they're going to do everything. They'll say to move, and then when it comes time to do it, they don't do it. And that's all I have to say. I'd like to see us pass an ordinance that they can't screw somebody else in the township.
So you would like a setback there?
Yeah, setback, 50 to 100 feet. At least so you don't cut all the roots of the trees, you know. I mean, that's only common sense. You know, they had no respect for me. And one other thing I just say real quick. 37 years I've lived there. Never had a thing stolen in my lifetime out there. And I should have reported it. When they put that pipeline in, and I didn't even notice it because I had a bunch of stuff sitting down by the wood edge, you know. But my rototiller was stolen, you know. And 37 years, never had nothing stolen. When that pipeline did come through, it was gone, you know. But I mean, I can't prove that was him. But I big petitions, you know.
We'll look into this setback.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Carl's in 866 Kent Road, Washington, 501. Mr. Kendall, you said about mule service, Max calls on, okay, coming into Gander, okay? I hope that the township can put some kind of regulation on the number of trucks coming in. I know we don't make any money off of this. Smith Township is the one that makes all the money since the plant is in Smith Township. But all the trucks run in Robinson Township, so we're the lucky ones that get our roads chewed up and everything else. And you said about getting concrete put, we can't even get a line on a road in Canton, you know?
Well, that's, unfortunately, with roads, those are state roads, so we can't put anything on that or limit since they are state road. I'm assuming their intent from the last time they spoke was to beach all of them.
Yeah, right past my house.
Right past your house. And I mentioned your name when they were in the other day to talk, and they will be in, I'm not sure if it'll be in May's meeting or not until June, that they'll be here to address that. And they said, what issues do your residents have? I told them, number one, is truck traffic. So,
Yeah, the number of trucks and the time and the noise. Okay, now about your new ordinance there that we haven't seen yet, are you gonna have any sound ordinances, or is the drilling companies going to allow to make as much noise as they want? Do you have on your proposal?
yes, there's sound and things like that.
Okay,
So,
and how much different is the sound, the decibels? How much above or below what it was is it now going to be? Is it the same?
Well, actually, I'll go in the actual hearing, when it becomes public. There'll be, probably as of Monday, there'll be documents here. By Monday, we'll be able to get it in here for people to read. How is it?
You guys are ready with it?
Yeah. So if you want,
So after Monday?
yeah, you'll be able to stop in here, there'll be a copy of the map and ordinance for you to. Friday's good.
That's good.
Friday's good Friday.
She won't be, so you
Yeah,
hire,
somebody.
you gotta hire somebody from
I'll go Tuesday.
Kelly Service.
Or we can go Monday.
Okay, well, sometime next week, how about that?
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what day we'll have.
Of course, no
As
worry.
soon as we can get it,
Make
have
a
it in
move,
person.
that's like all, so.
But yeah, if you call out and somebody answers the phone, you can do all the other.
I know something.
So,
Okay, and the other question I asked last meeting, I wanted to know how much you paid the solicitors. Okay.
how much?
How much total you had paid the solicitors in fees.
Got it?
Okay, you gotta know because you just had that paper.
Yeah, I'll pull more for you too. I'll give you some history on other ones as well.
And the bill you're holding is the first 2 months of the year.
Okay. So presently, right now, we have had over 109 hours total fees, which total balance now due is $16,447.82.
That's for January, February.
Yes, sir. Last year's fees for solicitors came
Yeah, I
in
didn't
at,
ask for that.
well, I'm going to give it to you then, Mr. Zeno. It's $32,127 for last year's
Total last year.
total last year, and the total for 2012 was $53,309. Those are the solicitor's fees for the last 3 years, including this year so far.
So if we keep going to 16,000, okay.
I believe that,
8,000 a month, okay? So 12 times that 8 is what?
we won't go that high, Mr. Zeno, because this right now, we're fixing a lot of things. So that, after things are worked out, hopefully next couple of months, we will not have to bill that many hours.
Okay, and then March is already 16,000 something.
There's nothing's here for that,
I
it's
know,
just,
but I said, I see it.
that's hearsay, Mr. Zeno, your 3 minutes are up. Mr. Zeno, if you wish to address the board, you will address the board by their elected name or their last name, not by their first name.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones.
Tim Jones, 5388 Maple Grove Road. Just to add a little bit to the prior fees of last year, they were actually in excess of $32,000. $32,000 was for, I believe, one particular law firm. And there was another $6,000 for another law firm. When the solicitor recused himself from certain activities, and then there were some other professional fees as well. So legal fees last year were probably 40,000 plus last year. And a question to the board then, that of the fees that are spent with the new solicitors, were part of those fees that we paid, is that a result of some of the findings that they found with the water line and the substantial savings that the township has incurred?
That is
So
true.
it's not an expense, I mean, actually the money was spent, but we also got some money, significant amount of money back because of the hours spent by the solicitor.
Yes.
Thank you.
If we had not made the decision to try to get out of that contract, we would be having a meeting tonight because of the demotion. And that is a fact. Everybody can have their own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. there was no money to move from capital fund to general fund at a certain time. And the contract, the way it was written, any and above expenses fell back on us, contract. If your overages are 20%, what's that come to? $180,000. I didn't hear anybody in this room yelling out, raise my taxes to pay for it. And I don't blame you, because nobody wants to pay more taxes. So you have to make tough decisions. And sometimes there's a cost to it. I look at it as an investment. We retrieve, if we went with the contracts that are currently on the table with Pennsylvania American Water, we still save $434,000 if you take the solicitor's bill off the top of that. I don't know how you guys are with math. To me, that's a good investment. That's all I have to say. Anybody else? This is me.
Brenda Vance, 6109 Maple Grove Road. I have a petition that 281 people have signed, asking you to please consider keeping our zoning and our ordinance as it is now. There are 281 signatures, and you prided yourself on, when you ran for supervisor, to govern for the people and by the people, and were very upset when 253 signatures on a petition didn't sway the previous board. So I'm kind of anxious to see how this is received. When we were getting the signatures, we ran into many things that people were saying that were untrue, and most of the people believe that the previous ordinances that are in effect now and zoning were thrown together and passed in the last few months of the year solely by the township supervisors. And in reality, it was a 4.5 to 5 year process. There was input not only from the supervisors, but also the planning commission and the professional planner, which was paid for with a grant from the state. There was a public meeting where ideas were gathered and many were implemented and presented at another meeting a month later. A lot of people were led to believe that the ordinances set limits so that only certain people would be able to have wells drilled on their property. And that is not true, and that can be verified simply by reading the ordinances. A lot were led to believe that the water line in Babington was just to supply, primarily to supply the cupolas with water when it wasn't even going to reach their property. And Mr. Kendall, you're going to love this. Ran into quite a few people that wouldn't sign. I'm not going to say quite a few, at least several handfuls that didn't want to sign because they were worried about retaliation from you. There are many stories out there about mistreatment of other people's animals and property damage and a lot of things that were credited to you. A lot of tall tales that I said.
That's
hopefully,
slander, miss. That's slander.
that I said hopefully were legends that preceded you, because I'm very old and live close to you, and I don't want to believe any of that. But I thought you would be interested to know that. You stated that you think all the decisions regarding most of the new businesses coming into the township should be in the hands of the supervisors board, and most notably the oil and gas decisions. I see several problems with that. When two of you are positioned to profit greatly from the gas company progressing in the area, that raises a lot of questions. I would love the township to benefit from the tax money to be gained from the wells, but I am concerned with any change that would leave the monitoring of the activity to only 3 people when 2 of them stand so much to gain. And I'm glad to see you taking this tonight, this act, to have her check into with the ethics board on that. I think that was a good move. You took great pride in the meeting and workshops that allowed people to voice the changes that they wanted to be made. And I was at every meeting and I heard people ask for some zoning changes and some changes in how the land could be divided. I also heard some changes for noise ordinances. And I never once heard anyone ask for changes to allow easier access for the gas companies in all zoning areas, even residential and conservation. I didn't hear anyone ask for worker camps to be allowed, or more oil and gas impoundments or compression stations. And I'm really kind of wondering where those requests came from because it was not mentioned at the meetings. And I understand you were voted in by the people and feel you have the power to govern as you see fit. But please keep in mind you were voted in to govern in a system that was already in place. And in that system, no two people were expected to dictate and rule. The Planning Commission and the Zoning Board have been in position and functioning for years in this township, and when people vote, they have a right to reasonably expect the main structure of the governing body to stay intact. And that doesn't involve limiting the Zoning Board and the Planning Commission's powers to just token acts. The ordinances are intact that would allow the gas companies to operate in the township now, and it scares me that they're holding out for more. I read the Smith, Hanover, and Finley ordinances, and ours are not out of line with them. A few of theirs are even stricter than ours. And it's interesting how closely, we're getting to mirroring portions of Act 13 that were declared unconstitutional. And you guys did take an oath when you became supervisor to uphold the Constitution, and that kind of makes it doubly interesting to me. The changes, I think, are more encompassing, and I don't think they should be viewed as amendments. And I'm not even sure they go along anymore with our comprehensive plan. And just would like to ask you to please consider the voices and the concerns of the people.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ms. Vance, I'm finding the same exact handwriting on this petition that would not, I'm finding duplicates.
You can check with everyone on there.
Well, the thing is, it's very hard to write the same handwriting. Even me and my wife don't have the same handwriting, and I'm finding the same handwriting on these petitions for two people in a family. So, and I've went through here and I'm already finding multiples. I'm already at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Almost at 30 signatures that look identical when it comes to writing their names out. And there's no phone numbers on here, which is a requirement. So I can contact these people to follow up. And petitions have to state what the petition is for on the pages and signatures and names. I have multiple phone calls come in on this petition as well. Somehow people obtained an advance copy of the ordinance, which wasn't given to the public. And I wonder how that would happen, since that would be a legal document, since it was not coming out of his office. And on top of that, it's funny how different people would give me different things that you guys were talking to them about. So I believe there are flaws with this petition.
Anybody else? All right.
Excuse me.
Good.
Are you asking about public comments?
Yes.
My name is Sandy Urich, I'm 14 Campbell Road, and I would like to know from Mr. Kendall and the Board of Supervisors, number 10 on public comments last meeting, I asked regarding the solicitor's fees, which I already heard, but I would like to know township's expenses concerning the legal fees and everything. Was there a possibility that you found out any information for me?
Did you fill out a right to know request?
Right to know?
Yes.
I asked you in the meeting for you to find out for me. As a supervisor, legal fees?
Thank you. You want any information, right to know request. That's simple.
Well, and I'd also like to, well then, besides your avoiding me and everything, I would like to know if there was a lawsuit presented on 8/23/12. Would you as a supervisor happen to know if that was done in the previous administration's meetings?
Which lawsuit are you referring to?
8/23/12.
That's a date on the topic.
It's a lawsuit by Mr. Roger Kendall.
And?
And some of the various, just to touch on the things.
First of all, ma'am, there was no lawsuit ever. And that's, if you want to continue down that path.
A copy of it.
There's no lawsuit. I filed a request to the PUC. That's not a lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
You can call it what you
What's
want.
request? Okay, and so put your term, but the terms of the contents of that were, the current ordinances have prevented the development of oil and gas from taking place.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to
They
do.
withhold any impact fees.
You might have erased all of it. No.
And
That's
is
what
there
he
still
did
another
every time.
lawsuit pending that we had to pay legal fees for?
I've never had a lawsuit with this township, although if there was ever a person that had a right to sue this township, it was me.
Is there one in the courts of Washington County concerning land development?
From me,
Hmm?
never. I've never
Never?
filed a lawsuit.
Never? Never had one. Okay, it's the Washington County courts. The other thing is I would like to ask Mr. Duran, you did a gravel road, Raccoon Creek Road. You used 30 tons of stone to repair it. On the March 10th meeting, you were asked to be able to come up to the county for an April 30th meeting or a 5/1, May 1st meeting. Could you not wait to go to that meeting to find out how to properly do roads?
You're assuming I don't know how to properly run machinery and how to put
I'm
gravel?
talking about, did you know that you should put geotextile on it? We have 30 tons we spend as a township, and you stated in this meeting that what happened to that stone.
So you think that we're gonna put geomat on Raccoon Creek Road with no money?
What happened to the stone, Mr. Duran? You
Well, I
stated,
think the residents,
wait a
were
minute,
very...
did you not state what happened to the stone that you put on that road?
Have you traveled the road?
I want to know
I don't
what you
care.
stated
Did
in
you
the
travel the
meeting.
road, Ms. George?
I want to know what you stated in this meeting, what happened to the stone.
Well, if you wanna be belligerent,
3 minutes.
3
Come
minutes,
on.
go. Anybody else?
So you're keeping quiet, making people,
No, we're giving 3 minutes. You can
State your name
and your address, sir.
Andrew Zimmer, 512 Fifth Street. You don't like to hear what you're hearing, so you're shutting people up, what you're doing.
No, sir, you have 3 minutes.
I am going to give this lady my 3
You don't have
minutes.
to do that.
Why?
Because it's in the law.
Show it to me.
You've been discussing back and forth. and it
Solicitor,
hasn't
is
had
that
3
correct?
minutes.
I've seen it done before.
Well, it was not legal to do that.
Ask your solicitor.
You said your format for this meeting, which is the 3-minute public comment, that's the format that everyone abides by, and that's the process. And they don't actually have to respond at this meeting. I mean, it's your time to say whatever you want to say in those 3 minutes, and if they want to respond, they can. And if they don't want to respond, they don't.
But I can't relinquish my 3 minutes to another resident?
Next person that speaks up, without stating their name, is going out that door. Because Ms. Rummel
Is still having difficulty trying to figure out who was talking at the last meeting. Because we have an order. If you don't want to follow it, don't come. It's that simple. You're welcome. Also, everybody, sign this sheet. Go. And sign your real name. So she can read, because she can't read, sign her handwriting. Okay, anybody else?
Carlos, I believe that 3 minutes, okay, is not sufficient. By the time you say a couple of things, 3 minutes is gone. And then if I say something and you respond a little bit, you know, there's 3 minutes is gone. I've only really had a minute and a half to say something, but the 3 minutes is up. And since the board is changing all kind of policies, what the heck, let's change that policy.
Well, one, just so you know, sir, Mr. Capallo is the one that wrote that ordinance the way this format.
Okay, but you look out.
Allow me to speak, sir. And we have to follow whatever ordinance is in effect. Whatever it is, you have to follow the line. The line was written, you get 3 minutes to speak. If I get everybody in here 15 minutes, how late would we be here? And I heard you utter earlier, let's get this going. I don't want to be here all night. So you want to give everybody here 15
Yes.
minutes? Well, we'll have to do an ordinance process, and I'll give you the opportunity to get a petition to stop me from passing that one, so that you want to say. Any ordinance that we go through. And what would you like to say, sir? I'll give you 3 minutes right now.
No, all I said was I think that 3 minutes is not enough time. And could you change that?
We can look into it. Can we all the other problems solved?
I just have 10 seconds.
Yes.
If there's any more,
Please.
Cliff Croft, Becker Road, 1832 Becker Road, Walter, Pennsylvania. If there's any more leaks at the gas plants, I mean the gas wells out of my place, can somebody put it in the paper or something? Twice now, and I didn't even know it happened until it was well over being done. Is there somebody we could be notified? The people living right, you know, right there.
They do a PA1 call. I mean, not a PA1 call. They notify the DEP. at DEP. There's at PSAS, we had a class on a lot of the regulations that are coming down from the DEP that will be mandating the oil and gas industry. I can actually provide you a packet of it, and that may answer your question for that. I believe it's contained in that.
Yeah, I got a little voice problem, so bear with me.
Need your name, sir.
John Campbell, I'm sorry.
She definitely wouldn't identify you on that. Because she's listening to a tape recording, trying to figure out who said that. Go ahead, John.
John Campbell, 738 Campbell Road. In relation to the Raccoon Creek Road, I attended the Cecil Township meetings. And a lot of it's due to the way the winter was and the conditions and the freezing and thawing. They had the same problem over there as they were trying to repair their roads. The same thing that happened on Raccoon Creek. We put the material in there, and 5 days later, it's out. And every township dealing with the same situation.
The stone was free, by the way, too. It was given to us. So, there was no cost to this township for that stuff.
Oh, there it was.
Anybody else? Get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? I'll second. Meeting's adjourned at 8:58 PM.
I